Hello everyone, it's Deb Floros of Deb Loves Jewelry. It's time again to open up the SoftFlex Mystery Design Kit. This one's called Surfs Up, and I'm so inspired by this one. So many fun beachy things, and the reveal has already happened, but let's open it up anyways. The packaging, of course, is perfect for the theme, and I just love always opening up and seeing what's in here for the very first time. Wow, 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 this is looking great. So I'm crazy about what I'm seeing. And of course, the SoftFlex matches perfectly. It's in the fluorite, and that is such a beachy color. It's perfect for this kit. The Jesse James Beads Mix Surfs Up has all kinds of beautiful colors and sparkle. There's some metal and tassels. And look at this nautilus. Oh my gosh, this ceramic piece is amazing. Now, I'm especially fond of these glass beads in the shapes. And wow, this is a fun little collection of goodies, some check glass, some charms, and we're going to make a beach bag charm. So bag charms are super popular right now. So let's make a beach bag charm. I made one with EconoFlex, and I did a bit of a ladder stitch and created a loop up top, which we'll add a clasp to later. So little dangles at the bottom, so much fun. All right, so you probably need about 3 feet of SoftFlex. I went a little heavy because I wasn't sure exactly how much I needed, but I think you need about 3 feet. So what I did was doubled it, and then I grabbed a crimp tube and I pulled the crimp tube onto both strands and pulled it all the way down to create a loop at one end. So just taking that crimp tube, pulling it over both of the strands, pulling it through very carefully and getting a fairly decent sized loop. This is going to be the loop where we'll attach our charms. So I'm getting that just so, pulling apart the 2 strands, and then I'm using the magical crimper, but truth be told, I'm terrible at the magical crimper. So my crimps look pretty cruddy. So I am getting that nice and secured, and then I'm going to grab those wood beads, which I'm madly in love with. They look like surfboards, and I'm going to pull apart the 2 strands and string on one of those wood beads onto one strand. Then I'm going to take the other strand and put it through the bead, going from the other direction or coming from the other direction. And this part is a little fiddly. That very first bead is hard to get settled, but you really want it to be horizontal to the crimp that you put onto both strands. So you'll get it right. You just have to take control of the wire and the bead, and it should look like that. Then you're going to add a bead on the other strand of wire, and you're going to pull that down, and you're going to kind of bend it over the bead below it, and then take the other strand, bring it through, going in the other direction. And we're going to continue this until we get through all of the beads. So I've got, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 9 beads that I'm working with, and I'm going to string them all in this sort of ladder stitch fashion. So I put a bead on to one strand, bend it over, take the other strand, push it through in the other direction. And then you're going to want to pull those fairly tight. I like them to be a little bit loose to have some movement, and I love that the SoftFlex shows on either side. Whether you're using the fluorite or the EconoFlex or some other color, it's really fun that it shows up on the outside of the piece. So just stringing on the bead, pushing it over, bringing that other strand up and through the bead in the other direction. You're just sort of exchanging the wires on each side. So, putting a bead on, pushing it over, pulling the bead through and the wire through, and then starting on the other side. So super easy to keep putting that through. And this is a fun technique for this kind of bead shape. But you can do this with other bead shapes as well. I just think it really looks great with a tube bead or a barrel bead. So just going alternate and adding the beads, putting the wire through, and just this is such a beachy look. The fluorite is super beachy. The beads were curated so perfectly for this kit. I'm just crazy about it. So pulling the wire through again, just getting those to sit next to each other nicely. You may have to do some fiddling as you go along if perhaps one of your beads wasn't as tight all the way through. You can always make some adjustments as you go and once you get all of the beads onto your piece. So just take it slow, be patient, and you should get a really fun little ladder stitch piece here. So I'm putting on the last few beads here, and you could add more, you could do less, totally up to you, but I liked 9. That seemed a good length for a beach bag charm. Beach bags are often a little bit bigger than a handbag, so I wanted this one to be somewhat long so that it would show up on my bag. And I'm adding another bead, bending that over, coming over with the other wire, pushing it through in the other direction, and then pulling on both of those wires and getting that bead secure. So it should look like that. So then what you're going to do is take a crimp tube. And this is tricky as well. I'm going to put the crimp tube on one of the wires, and then similar to how I was doing the ladder stitch, I'm going to pull the other wire through that crimp tube going in the opposite direction. So this is just a much smaller step on the ladder, but I'm going to pull that, and you'll see I fiddle with this quite a bit to get that crimp sort of centrally located. It wants to do its own thing, but as soon as you get it, grab your crimping pliers and get that crimped. Now, I use the magical crimping pliers. I wish I hadn't. It kind of looks a little bit wonky, but because it's going to be on a bag, no one's going to notice. So I'm going to keep trudging on, but then I'm going to put a crimp down onto both wires, and I'm going to pull it down close to that crimp that we just put on. So it's almost like a T shape now. So a crimp that was going lengthwise and now a crimp that's going up and down. Then I'm going to take one of those beautiful large check glass beads in that lovely turquoise color, and I'm going to push that down, and then I'm going to crimp that crimp below the bead. And I've switched over to the crimping pliers that I'm used to working with, I'm better working with. So I'm crimping there. Then what I want to do is take both of my wires and I want to push them, or I want to put on another crimp tube and then push the wire down into the bead. And I cut off some of the wire so that I don't have a lot to go down into the bead. So I'm putting the two ends through my crimp. So you're really going to have 4 pieces of wire. You see, I've cut that off now, and I'm pushing that in, and it's just going into the bead, and then I'm crimping. So just adding a nice big loop, and I actually want those wires to be sort of overlapping each other like that, so they look kind of fun and interesting, and that's going to be where we attach our lobster in order to attach to our bag. Now I'm going to add some dangles and charms onto the bottom of the piece, and that starfish is perfect for the center. And I'm using 2 jump rings to attach it so that it's got some substance to it. Then I'm going to pick a couple of beads to create dangles. I'm taking one from the Surf's Up Jesse James Beads mix. I'm using a 2-inch ball-in head pin, and I'm going to wire wrap it directly onto the SoftFlex loop at the bottom. So I'm creating a loop. Then I'm dropping it onto the loop of SoftFlex. Then I'm grabbing some chain nose pliers, holding onto the loop and wrapping directly onto it. You could attach with a jump ring if you prefer. So then I'm going to cut off my excess, and then I'm going to choose another bead, and I have to use that little Nautilus bead, that orangey glass. It's so beautiful. And I'm doing the same thing, just creating a loop and attaching directly to the loop of SoftFlex on the other side of the starfish. And then I'm going to hold on to that piece of wire, that loop of wire, and do a wrap several times around and cut off my excess. And oh my gosh, I love how these little dangles look. They're so cute. You could add more dangles too. You've got plenty of room. And now we just need to attach our lobster. So I've got this huge lobster in my stash, and I'm using some very large jump rings. Taking my pliers, opening that up, and attaching directly to those loops of SoftFlex up top. Then I'm adding a second jump ring because I can, and it will create a little bit more stability for your charm. So I'm crazy about this super fun beach bag charm. We did some fun things with this. I actually love the one with the Iconoflex a little bit more. I just like the metallic aspect of it. So I've got a silver one, a gold one, and now I'm going to attach it to my bag. Super, super fun, and maybe I'll head to the beach. Check out the SoftFlex Company mystery design kits. This one surfs up. Thanks so much for watching.